Hello there, singing friends. Welcome back to my channel. It's Mickey here, your friendly neighborhood singing coach. I hope all of you are doing well. I almost died this past week. Not to be too dramatic, but I was very, very sick. And I'll briefly tell you what happened, and then we'll get into today's video. We had two indoor bunnies, Bun Bun and Hun Hun, and I guess I had been developing a respiratory allergy to them for a long time, but it was like a slow build because I'd been experiencing some like chest tightness and whatever for a while. But then a month ago, we moved them into our living room. Hold on, that's my dog. The bunnies had been in my son's rooms. Bun Bun was in my oldest son, Dashiell's room, and Hun Hun was in August's room, my middle son. And we had to keep them separated because apparently bunnies don't automatically get along. You have to bond them, which I didn't know. They're not like cats and dogs who obviously are, I guess, more social, or I don't know, maybe cats are not, maybe they're more standoffish as well. But bunnies will get together to mate, obviously. And they do form bonded pairs, and they even live in groups called fluffles, which is really cute. But they are very picky, and you're less likely to have success bonding rabbits if they're the same sex. And we had two males. They were both fixed, but they did not get along at all. So we had kept them separate. And I wanted to try and bond them again to try to help them be friends because I just felt bad that they were alone and not with another of their kind to play and communicate with. And, you know, we can't give them attention all the time. So I brought them into the living room, and they were in two separate pens next to each other so they could see each other and smell each other and whatever. And then we were letting them free roam on alternate days. So Bun Bun was out one day, and then Hun Hun was out the next day. And they were all over the living room, and they were tracking hay, and you know, they're litter trained, but bunnies still poop around occasionally. So there was just like poop that I was cleaning constantly, and hay, and the fluff from their litter box, and dust, and all this stuff. And I was inhaling it, and I had a very, very bad acute reaction to it. And I suddenly was like having trouble catching my breath, even walking across the room, or like going up the 6 stairs in our house and things. It was like really scary. And I was like, something is definitely wrong. So I ended up going to urgent care, and they kind of like, they thought it was an allergy, but they didn't really realize how severe it was. They did a chest x-ray on me, but they could see like a little bit of abnormalities, but nothing like crazy because it just doesn't reveal that much. And then I went home with the allergy medication that they'd given me, and it just proceeded to continue to get worse. And then Sunday we went to the ER, and there I got another chest x-ray, and then I got something called a D-dimer, which tests to see if you have like blood clots. And I had like a borderline high result, meaning you could read it either way, like, yes, I do have a blood clot, or I don't. And so then they gave me a CT scan with contrast, and they found out that I have pneumonitis or bronchiolitis, which kind of sounds like broccoli-itis. One is like inflammation because of a virus. That's bronchiolitis. And then the other is like a hypersensitivity immune response to an allergen. And that is what we think I actually have, but they look very similar. So basically, all of my lungs are like filled with little pockets of like fluid and irritation, and so I couldn't breathe because everything is just like inflamed. And then my heart was wonky because I got an EKG, and I have like extreme right anterior tilt, which means that like the signals going out of the right side of my heart were all messed up because of all the pressure that my lungs were putting on my heart. I was in pretty bad shape, let's put it that way. I like was too weak to like get up and walk across the room by myself. And they put me on first the urgent care doctor put me on a Z-Pack, which I had to finish then because even though we don't think that it is bacterial, once you start antibiotics, you have to finish it because you don't want to create more like antibiotic resistant bacteria. But then I'm also on prednisone, which is a steroid, and then an inhaler steroid. And that's really helped a lot because steroids are really strong. So today I would say, let's see, today is Thursday, and I started taking the medication on Monday. Sorry, that's my dog barking. And I'd say I feel like 70% better now. I still am a little bit breathless. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I feel like I'm like not getting enough air constantly. But I have to continue taking these steroids till the end of the month, and I'm using this inhaler till the end of the month. And we're rehoming our bunnies, which is really sad, but we actually already found a really good home for Bun Bun. And Hun Hun is on the deck over here. I can see him from where I am. And we're asking around and trying to find a home for him because the doctor said that if I continue to be exposed, I can get permanent lung scarring, which is irreversible. And I definitely don't want that. So as sad as it is to, have to rehome the bunnies, and you guys know I love animals, my health obviously comes first, and the kids understand that. So it's been a rough week. It's been a little bit traumatizing for everybody, but I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to be alive. Nothing like almost dying to give you a new lease on life. But anyways, today I'm going to be doing another reaction to a band called Scribe. My last video that I did was one of their songs, and I really enjoyed it. And the drummer actually did a reaction to my reaction, which was really nice. And maybe I'll post a link to that in the description below if you guys want to check that out. And in that video, I reacted to their song, Raising the Dead. And two of the things that I really enjoyed about that song were the story in the lyrics and how it connected to something that actually happened, and also the high concept nature of the video. So I'm really looking forward to checking out this song today. This song is called Jack. And Mike German requested this reaction, and he writes in his email, "In this video, the drummer Dave Brett is Jack the Ripper in later life, who gets arrested for another crime, and no one realizes who he really is. The modern Jack is actually the drummer for another band who really looks the part, and which I think is a nice touch. Pay attention to the book involved to see what has happened, which has cool supernatural implications." And then he's also included the lyrics. So I thought it would be useful to take a moment to just talk about Jack the Ripper and history for a moment, in case you guys, like me, kind of vaguely know the story but haven't really thought about it in a while. But before we do that, I just want to let you guys know that the members of Scribe are vocalist Kim Stacy Marino, lead guitarist Michael Marino, Dan Tuck on bass and synth, David Brett on drums, and he's the reactor as well, and Yus Dervish, or Yus, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, on rhythm guitar, okay? All right, so Jack the Ripper. So Jack the Ripper is one of those figures that he is based on a real person, obviously, historically, but there's also this like lore and legend that's grown up around him. And I think that actually is pretty common with serial killers. So he was an unidentified serial killer who was active in and around the impoverished Whitechapel district of London, England in 1888. He was also referred to as the Whitechapel murderer and the leather apron. And, one of the confusing things about serial killers, especially before like forensics were really developed, are that when somebody starts getting notoriety, you can have copycat killers, and then those murders will get attributed to the original murderer, and there's no real way of knowing, except for like looking for similarities in the method of the killing or in the type of the victims, whether the killings are actually the work of one person or multiple killers. But kind of his MO was that he killed women who were working as prostitutes who lived in the slums of the East End of London. And he killed them in a particularly gruesome way. He slit their throats and then removed their internal organs, which led a lot of people to speculate that he had some kind of like medical, surgical knowledge. And it was a very notorious case. It got a lot of publicity at the time. And so a lot of people were like writing letters to media and to Scotland Yard, and a lot of people claimed to be Jack the Ripper. And he actually got like the name Jack the Ripper from one of the letters from that somebody wrote claiming to be the murderer, and which was widely published in the press and is now believed to be a hoax that perhaps was written by journalists to fan the flames and interest. And 11 murders were initially attributed to him, but actually only 5 were definitively connected. And they were of Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. And they were murdered between August 31st and November 9th, 1888. And it says the murders were never solved. This is from Wikipedia, by the way. And the legends surrounding these crimes became a combination of historical research, folklore, and pseudo-history, capturing public imagination to the present day. Okay, and then I also saw this like headline that says serial killer Jack the Ripper identified after 130 years, how a shawl led to the breakthrough. And I skimmed this article and I'm not really sure if this is accurate, but it claims that DNA evidence taken from the shawl of one of the victims identified Jack the Ripper as this like Polish immigrant guy, Aaron Kosminski, who used to work as a barber, and that the shawl was recovered from the murder scene of the Ripper's 5th victim, Catherine Eddowes, on September 30th, 1888. So I don't know if this is accurate or not, but interesting that people are still talking about this and that it's still such a hot topic of speculation. And obviously, you know, we live in a time when people are really into like true crime stuff. So obviously people still have a hunger for this type of stuff. And also his victims have living descendants. So there is a sense that solving these murders would bring a sense of justice. So it's not just like an empty pursuit, obviously. So that's kind of the background on this. I've talked a lot, so maybe we'll listen to it and then we'll look at the lyrics afterwards. All right, let's check it out. So again, this is Teller, Scribe, and the song is called Jack.
Where my darkness did descend.
All right, just gonna pause it there for a moment. So in terms of the singing, I really like her voice. I love that she has a lower range, that da 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 da. Right, where does it start? Let's see. Yeah, so it starts on A4, and then there's like some very, very pretty background vocals that are much higher and lighter, that just like occupy another part of the EQ range and complement it very nicely. I like her ornaments, that very simple kind of like turn, the right? And then I also like how she's utilizing her flip again. I talked about it in the last video, where she's going from her connected chest voice to a more disconnected head voice and using that break in her voice as a stylistic element. Very, very cool. So far, I really like the video as well. So it's like a flashback to Jack the Ripper in his prison cell, and then it cuts between that and modern day with the band, and it's cool to see them in the light of day and see what they really look like, you know. And then they have the modern Jack the Ripper character, who is a very kind of imposing figure and already like kind of spooks me out. So I like it so far. Very cool.
After all these years, I'm just an old age man. I've kept my life behind my eyes. In my private hell, the devil walks on by. He knows my name and my cries. They call me.
I like how the chorus, it sounds much more major and it has that really nice lift melodically. I also really like how her melody choices here sound almost like bluesy, you know? The da na 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 kind of switches from more of like a metal to more of like a blues feeling. Very cool melodic choices. I also like how there's this like spoken interlude that's more of like an exposition of the story. And I also talked about this in the last video, how when you speak in a song, it is really hard to sound cool. I personally don't have a knack for it, but I think if you can pull it off, it's a really nice additional, it's almost like between singing and speaking, you know what I mean? It's like speaking. So you can really tell a story and it blends in nicely with the rest of the music. So that's another cool thing that this band does that I think is unique to them.
Just Jack. Just Jack. They walk the streets at night. They pass their favors for a price. See me as a prize, but never once they saw my knife. A surgeon's hand, a butcher, a man of mystery, with a darkness deep inside. In the streets I walked, sly and subtle-bred. I took my trophies from within. After all these years, I'm just an old age man. I've kept my life behind my eyes. In my private hell, the devil walks on by.
spooky. So I really liked how it then went to the chorus, and the way that she's using her voice is much more like metal, right? That like Jack. It matches the metal guitar playing underneath and the energy. So there's a lot of different like parts of the song, and it touches on a lot of different like genre influences, which I really like. And then the guitar solo was really cool. And then I really liked how the story kind of gets tied up at the end, where it goes back to the flashback of Jack the Ripper in the prison cell, and it shows how he's like written something in this book, which maybe it's like the list of his victims that he's gonna kill in the future, and maybe these are like their descendants or whatever. And then the modern day Jack finds this book, and maybe it's like this talisman that has like Jack's soul in it or something that gets transferred to him, and he gets reanimated and continues to carry out his grisly deeds in the present day and pick off the band members one by one. So I thought it was a very interesting concept. And again, the video was really creative and really well done. I was entertained, and I thought the song was good. So I really enjoyed it. I loved that this band is kind of like telling really interesting stories that weave in true bits of history and also include their own imaginative interpretations. And everything is there. The music is good. The visuals are good. The storyline is good. Let's check out the lyrics. I think I understood most of them, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So the lyrics are, hurting inside, I'll use this blade to cut it out. Look into my eyes, for I am death within the shroud. So I like that hurting inside. It's like, hurt people, right? Obviously, if you're killing people, you obviously have your own issues going on and are in a lot of pain, and that's how you're taking it out on the world, right? 1,888 years, so that's 1888, right? The year it all began in the chapel of brightness and light, where my darkness did descend. After all these years, I'm just an old, aged man. I've kept my life behind these eyes. In my private hell, the devil walks on by. He knows my name and my crimes. They call me Jack, just Jack. They walk the streets at night. They pass their favors for a price. Obviously, those are like the prostitutes that he murdered. They see me as a prize, but never once they saw my knife, a surgeon's hand, a butcher, a man of mystery with a darkness deep inside. Right, because of his removal of the internal organs, and actually the man that they claim is now officially recognized as Jack the Ripper was a butcher, so that tracks. In the streets I walked, a sly and subtle grin. I took my trophies from within. So it's like the organs are his trophies, right? So very clever, very interesting. I really like the lyrics, and again, I think they tell a really compelling, spooky story. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing, Mike, and hopefully you enjoyed my reaction. And I'll see you guys here next time. Until then, take care, and of course, happy singing, and don't breathe in any rabbit droppings. Stay healthy, guys. Bye.